continue the conversation around Dr Nandipha Magudumana's bail application. I'm joined now by legal expert Melusi Xulu. Mr. Xulu, thank you so much for joining us. I wonder if you could clarify and just explain to us this issue around the Schedule 5.
Good evening, Sally, and to the viewers at home. Sally, Schedule 5 is based on Section 60, subsection 11 of the Criminal Procedure Act. It simply states that the onus is on the applicant or the accused to prove on the balance of probabilities that there are reasons in the interest of justice for him or her to be released on bail. So if you go to the issues of schedule in the Criminal Procedure Act, it says, for example, in this case, if it's going to be an issue or a case about fraud, the amount involved should be an amount from 500,000. If it's a group of people that have been committing fraud, for example, in this case, it should be an amount of 100,000 and above. So the argument by Advocate Lamin is that what is stated on the charge sheet and what is stated on the affidavit by the investigating officer is not equal to what is stated in the Criminal Procedure Act. So initially they agreed that it's Schedule 5, but now they are saying it should be Schedule 1. So that is why Advocate Selo stated that he needs to prepare his argument so that they can argue on that. Because if it's Schedule 1, Sally, it's important to note that the onus is on the state to prove that the accused or the applicant should not get paid. So the onus will shift. That is why there has to be a clear way forward on what schedule is. Is it Schedule 1 or is it Schedule 5?
Do you take that as an admission from the prosecutors that they don't have enough evidence to say that there's a case in terms of the fraud allegations?
The issue of fraud, for example, what was stated by the captain is that there was money that was sent by accused 4, which is Nandipha, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, to accused 1. So that is the issue of bribe and fraud. So that is what the state is saying. But the issue is, in terms of for bail application, the amount for it to be Schedule 5 or Schedule 5, it should start from 500,000. That's the amount that should be involved in the crime that is alleged. But if it's below, then it should be Schedule 1.
One of the other things that her lawyer said today was he said that other people accused, obviously apart from Bester, have received bail in this matter. But surely that's a bit of a false argument to make, bearing in mind that she's the only one who fled the country on a false passport, if I'm not mistaken. Well,
the argument of the state will be Dr. Nandipha Magudumana is one of the masterminds in making sure that Thabo Bester, as a convict, escapes from prison. And she also stayed with him for almost a year. Now, the question that is on my mind is, if it's alleged that you are one of the masterminds to help a convict to escape from prison, can you be trusted with bail application? Because you seem to have been interested in making sure that someone that is in prison, escapes, and you also take care of the person. You have business arrangement with that person. So in a bail affidavit or in the arguments by the advocate, I may be mistaken, but I did, in the preparation, just try to check that. They've never really answered to what is her answer to the allegation that she's the mastermind of making sure that Thabo Bester escapes. So her role is more involved than the other co-accused for the of seeing why her bail should be opposed comparing to the others.
Magudumana is also now alleging that she didn't leave the country willingly, that she was intimidated by Bester, that she was forced to leave the country, and yet earlier this month, so it was just a few weeks ago, we saw her holding hands with him in court, looking very happy to see him. Can that display of affection a few weeks ago, holding hands, looking happy, and her claims that she was forced by him to leave the country both be true? And is this something that the court will look at in deciding bail?
The difficulty of you applying using a bail affidavit, Sally, instead of going to the witness dock and not bringing verbal evidence, is that you don't bring more than what you are saying. So what she's saying is, Thabo Bester was the one who forced me, but there's nothing more she's bringing to support that argument. Because, for example, when she took her case to High Court, she never mentioned that she went to Tanzania because she was forced. Because if that was so, I mean, she would even be thanking the police that she was kidnapped. Because this person that she's talking about, that she's saying is the person who forced her to go to Tanzania, is actually someone she stayed with almost a year. It's someone that she made a deliberate plan to assist him to escape. She even took a matter to High Court to take to make sure that she gets back the body of the deceased, which is Katle Khobereng. So she's very much involved in how Thabo Bester escaped, and then she can't turn now and say, actually, this person was forcing me. It looks like it was a lover's kind of, plan to make sure that he escapes. So right now, her argument without evidence, in my view, without evidence, is not.
All right, so the court's going to look at, on the face of it, what they've got in terms of what's written down, what looks more plausible. When it comes to actually considering bail, you've explained the onus now shifts because it's looking at Schedule 1 cases that the prosecutors might have to now argue a little bit harder on why she shouldn't get bail. But is the flight risk issue going to be the main focus in many ways?
For me, Sally, the flight risk is one of the main issues because when we're looking at flight risk, what we're looking at, we're going to look at the strength of the case, how strong is the case for the state, and we're looking at the gravity of the state's case. We're also looking at the means that the accused has to escape, even with when she doesn't have a passport. Like in this case, allegedly she escaped with the co-accused. So we're looking at also the emotional ties that the accused has. For example, it's alleged that she just left her children with her husband because she's still not divorced. So those things are looked at to look at that she actually has, the strength to just leave everything behind and escape. So the issue of flight risk is going to be the main thing. And I think the argument whether she was forced to leave Tanzania or whether she actually willingly escaped with the co-accused, which she was staying with, I must repeat this, which she was staying with almost a year as a lover. I think it's going to be an interesting challenge for the magistrate to decide on, because the state is obviously going to say, she can't come and say she was forcefully taken by a lover when she wants to raise the argument. But Sally, I'll just remind the viewers that, there was a tape that I thought she was going to, bring with as an evidence that where she was threatened allegedly by a certain gentleman, which was alleged to be Thabo Bester, but she didn't do that. She just merely said she was forced. So I think she should have done more than just merely stating that she was forced, because there must be evidence. And remember, if it's Schedule 5, the onus is on her.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much for bringing clarity. Legal expert Melusi Xulu, and of course that matter continues in the coming days, the bail application of Dr Nandipha Magudumana.